Hey, my friends. This is The Art of Prepping. Hope you guys are doing good today. Just want to talk about food security. I think of it more like a continuum about it's a process of options that you can grow into instead of it being just an either or type of scenario. And so obviously, most of us get our foods from a grocery store or a farmer's market. Or if we're in a bad situation, we can go to a charity. It could be a church or a food bank and get some assistance. Some people order their food online, but that's pretty much the bulk of it for most people, right? I'd say somewhere between 80 to 85% of people, that's pretty much where their food comes from. Now, this next part here is where we kind of get into preparedness, and that is to start to develop a food storage reserve. And you can start really subtly at first. You can start in a very, easy manner. I mean, it could be as simple as just grabbing a few extra canned goods a week, literally just a few. And then over time, you might get a little bit more comfortable with that, or you might figure out a way to expand your food budget a little more. And maybe you add an extra week of food every time you go to the grocery store. And so whatever it is that you can afford or whatever you can manage, you do that over time until you get to an amount that you feel like really does satisfy any type of realistic potential threat. And so for some people, it's 3 months of food reserve. Other people, it's 6 months. Some people want more than a year. That's all depends on what you feel like and what is really the reality of threats in your area. But you definitely want to have a food reserve. Now, after you do that, what a lot of people do is they get into gardening. It's just kind of like a natural progression. They get into gardening. It could even be just bucket systems. You don't even have to have land to have a garden. You can grow things out of buckets or tubs, whatever you have. You can put dirt in there and grow. You just need a little bit of sunlight, and you make sure the plants get some water, and the soil has to be of good quality, obviously, or the at least appropriate type of soil for the plant. The next, though, is very much related to gardening, and that is sprouting. You can sprout most seeds in 2 to 5 days. And of course, there are some things that are just a lot more, desirable to sprout than others in terms of consuming that. So there's a quick way to actually get some food. It's just a sprout. Now, with a little more education and experience, you can definitely be able to identify various wild plants in your area. So, for example, in my yard, I have wild garlic. I have 2 different types of wild lettuce, and they're all 100% safe to eat. Pretty much every part of it, pretty much. I have all kinds of flowers that can be, eaten. I have tree nuts, and the list goes on and on and on. So definitely knowing what is edible in your area, even just in your yard, is going to be a big bonus. And so that takes time, and it takes some research and some learning, but it's very much worthwhile, because let me just tell you, I don't buy garlic because I have so much of it in my yard. I don't buy lettuce because it grows everywhere, all around my place. And so it saved me a lot of money just to know what those plants are. The next thing, though, and this is a big jump for a lot of people, because most people don't hunt or trap or fish, but it is something. It is something that you might want to pick one of those and learn an aspect of it. It might just be something as simple as getting a fishing pole and some tackle and just going once a month or a few times a year even with a person or, a friend that knows what they're doing in terms of fishing, and just practice the skill just in case you have to actually use it if things got that bad. And what I do is I have a map of my local area that identifies all the bodies of water. Now, that's good for multiple reasons. Maybe you just need water, not so much food. But if you did need food, at least you know where the bodies of water that could hold fish, right? Or turtles or whatever else that lives in your area. There's a lot of turtles in my area. And so, yeah, definitely, ponds, lakes, streams, rivers, you want to make sure you know where they are, and how to get to them. And maybe even build relationships with those people who have those resources. So if things got real tough, you'd already have a relationship with those people, and you can say, hey, I'm running low on food. You don't mind if I catch a few fish out of your pond, And I mean, most people probably wouldn't care. So there you go. Lastly, though, I want to talk about animal husbandry. And animal husbandry is really a wide scope of raising animals. And it's not just cattle. A lot of people have this concept that, it's just farm animals like cattle. But I mean, it's very encompassing. It's the wide scope of things when it comes to raising animals. And so it's chickens and ducks. And those two are awesome because they lay eggs, and you can also eat the bird, just for the meat. Rabbits are another really popular animal, especially for smaller homesteads, because they reproduce so quickly and the meat's very good. And you also get fur, you get a hide. So you get that. Once again, fish. There are some people who just have large ponds, or sometimes they'll even have artificial ponds in their backyard if they're in a more like a suburban area. I've seen that. And they'll raise fish just to consume it. So there are certain types of fish that reproduce and grow faster than others. So you might want to look into that. And then, of course, you have the traditional farm animals, like you would think, like cows, goats, sheep, and so forth. So this is kind of how I think about food security. It's in a continuum. And you don't need to have all these things, obviously. But besides your food storage, have maybe at least one or two outside that in addition to the food storage, because at some point your food storage may run out. And if you don't have a garden, or if you don't know how to fish, for example, then that could really be a problem, and especially if there's plenty of fish in the pond, but you just don't know how to get to them, it's going to be a really bad situation, or if you have a bunch of seeds, but you don't know how to sprout them, it's a bad situation, because you're going to possibly starve when it wasn't necessary, or you're going to have some suffering, and not just yourself, but maybe family members. Maybe you're a husband or a wife, and you're a parent, and you're responsible for raising kids. Well, you don't want your kids to suffer, so have options. Put these options into place sooner than later, because you never know what could happen in the future. It's just like insurance, it's like a lot of people have no problem at all spending all this money for home owner's insurance. You got your house insured, you got your car insured, you got life insurance, you got health insurance, there's all kinds of other insurances out there that people get. And they don't even, consider that, anything crazy at all. That's just normal. But when it comes to food security and having food insurance, it's like people go, what? What are you talking about? And I think that's where people will really make a big mistake. So, hey, thanks for checking out the video. Catch you later.